Welcome back to Burn Pile. Funny things going on this week. The first one is the robot. How can I not talk about this one? It's uh, it's a disgusting robot wrapped in like soft foam, and it's supposed to be a big deal because it's like the first commercially available humanoid robot. It's not for industry; it's for like the house. It's like real sci-fi stuff. It helps you out around the house. Um, and it's well, two things with this. The first is I can understand if you're an adult who lives alone or lives in a house only with other adults. I could understand why you would want this thing, but even with this thing wrapped in this kind of soft fabric that it's wrapped in, how much does it weigh? Right? Because I can't imagine having this thing in my house if I've got like a baby in the house. There are a number of people in my life with like very young children. Some even have like infants, and they're the people who need the help the most in the house. They're never going to buy a robot, right? Until the kid's like 5, because it just seems like it could just fall over. It could just fall over and kill your baby, even if it's like wrapped in like they basically have it wearing a sweater. They've like it's like a Five Nights at Freddy's kind of situation here. Like this thing is it's like wrapped in this soft exterior. Inside it's like it must be like sharp and nasty and everything. It must be all metal, right? And plastic, but I do wonder how much it weighs. I feel like it's just going to fall over. It's going to crush your descendants. Um, but so the idea of it, if you haven't seen like the video debuting this thing, this piece of shit, it's like, oh look, you can get different colors. I'm playing around on the website. If you're just listening, you can get a black one. That's a little. Come on, come on. If you haven't seen this thing, it's like a servant. Now that God, I should do more prep for these because now that there's a black one, I want to take it all back. I actually do want one of these. Um, but it's like a servant. It has human hands. It's humanoid. It can it can go into your house. It can like wash your dishes and put them all away. It can pick up things around your house. It can do all this and all that. Um, but of course, it's not really a robot. It's just being operated by someone in India or Pakistan or whatever. So you're inviting some disgusting pervert who's the product of like centuries and centuries of first cousin marriage, who like he clocks out from cleaning up your house and he goes to like the poop throwing festival. Uh, you're inviting that person into your home. So like that's the one who's going to be like putting away like your wife's underwear. It's this thing with a camera strapped to its face. There's an Indian guy with a camera strapped to his face taking photos of everything in your house. But he can do your dishes or whatever. Anyway, this thing it costs $20,000 up front or $500 a month. How much is a maid when you get like an illegal maid like all these people do? It's got to be way more than 500, right? You get a maid to come by. I have no idea. I know people hire these like illegal Mexican maids, and they come in, and then if they don't do a good job, they call ICE on them. Um, if they come like once, they come once a week. Are you paying depending on what they do? Are you paying them more than 500? Are you paying them less than 500? Is this thing going to cost you more than your Mexican slave? This thing. And speaking of slaves, this black color is crazy. It's fucked up if you get If you order this and you get the black color, you should probably be investigated. If you, hey, what if? Okay, what if, by the way, what if like the economy got so bad that these jobs that only Indian people would do, where you're operating a a robot on the other side of the world to like pick up the the dirty like shit stained underwear of like a wealthy white family. Like, what if the economy got so bad that they had to like reshore those jobs onto America because Americans would actually do them? And and what if you actually had like a black person working at one of these like I guess call centers where they just operate robots? So they reshore that to America and they have like a black person working there operating the robot, and you have like white people and they're so racist, they're like, actually we want the servant, but we need someone to pick up our disgusting clothes, but we don't actually want a black person in the house. So we're going to have, instead of you, no, we'll give you $500 a week, but here's what we're going to do. Instead of you coming to our house to give us your services, actually, you're going to need to go down the street to that data center, and we're just going to have a robot, and we've made the robot black as a reminder to everyone, to us and to you. But you're not going to be able to actually set foot in our house. Okay? No, but who is this for? Who like because if it were actually a robot, if it actually like the AI was so good that you could be like, this is my dishwasher, and this part kind of doesn't work, so you have to do it this way, and you could actually demonstrate and show it what to do, like you would to a person that you hired, and then you'd be like, I like my clothes put away this way, and all this, and it could actually do it, and it was like actually a real robot, then definitely $20,000. I wouldn't get it, but lots of people would, and $500 a month, not bad. But it just being Indians, I mean, I don't understand. For it just being Indians, and look, so here's the thing. Here's the thing with the AI. It's like with self-driving, where it needs millions and millions and millions of hours on the road to train the AI to be able to drive, and it still can only kind of do it. And it needs just more and more training data. They need millions and millions and millions of hours of like you know, wiping the asses of disabled guys and picking up shitty underwear and doing all these things. They need millions and millions and millions of hours of recording and doing it. And they're going to be recording this while the Indians do all it. Do all the Indians teleoperate these things. That's all going to be recorded, and that's all going to be used to train one of these things to eventually do it. Eventually, they're going to have 100,000 hours of white people talking into the camera, explaining to this guy in Pakistan or wherever uh, how to load the dishwasher, and all the different variations of all the different kinds of dishwashers, and what's quirky about them, and what part is broken, and how this person likes it with this much soap and whatever, right? Um, Eventually, they'll have 100,000 hours of that, and then they're going to train an AI to do it, and then you're going to be able to explain it. But it's still going to suck for like 20 years after that too. Like so this is like a seismic thing because we are on the track to where we will have these eventually, but it's just this intermediary step where you're going to explain it to AI hundreds of thousands of times. It's crazy that they're like, and for you giving us the keys to win capitalism forever, for the privilege of you giving us those, you're going to need to pay us $20,000. What they should do is give these away for free. What they should do is some company that has, venture capital, whatever, needs to be willing to lose, you know, $10 billion over the next 5 to 10 years, just giving these away to, I don't know, 1,000 people in America, 10,000, like whatever you can do, whatever the budget is, whatever you can do. And you're like, look, it doesn't fully work. You're going to be, this guy in India is going to be jerking off the whole time that he's using it. But you get like a free robot helper. That's what they need to do. They need to subsidize this thing while they acquire the training data. Because what they're doing now is crazy. They're like asking wealthy families to pay for the privilege of being spied on by third worlders. It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, I can't. Just who would. It's probably sold out. It's probably already a gigantic hit and everybody loves it. The thing is, everyone who's complaining about this thing, myself included, cannot or will not pay $20,000 for something like this and are therefore not the audience for it. But there probably are like lots of people with $20,000 to spare, just like not upper class, but like upper middle class people who are just like, yeah, I'll invite the Vegeta to my home. Why not? And like I'm the dumbass for not realizing it. Yeah, God, this thing sucks. God, it sucks. Oh God. I don't know. The black one though, if you're just listening, I'm zoomed in on the face here on the website. It's just two camera eyes and no other facial features. I would maybe, if I got the black one, I would maybe draw some lips on it. And I kind of want the black one in like a kind of like an old timey suit, that, I would be okay with it. And actually, if they just ship the jobs instead of being in India to like Nigeria or something, I'd actually be almost completely on board with this. I'd be almost 100% on board. I think it's Liberia. It was like founded by American ex-slaves, the country of Liberia in Africa. If I've got this right, I could be totally wrong. And they basically came, so their ancestors got taken to America as slaves. They got freed after the Civil War. They went back to Africa and like took over because they're like, even if you're like an ex-American slave, you're like 1,000 years ahead of like everybody in Africa in like 1867 or whatever. And so they take it over and they like reinstitute, like they basically like they do a LARP of the white American South where they're the white people now and they take over. But anyway, it all fell apart in the 90s. There was a huge like rebellion and all those people got killed. Their descendants. But wouldn't it be funny though if history didn't work out like that, and like Liberia was where they were operating these robots? Wouldn't that be a beautiful like full circle kind of thing, where it's like, oh, slavery ended, but kind of life found a way, kind of. But we don't live in the good time. We live in the bad universe where evil won. Hey, what is this grenade thing they have here? They've like got pictures of its shoe. They've got pictures of it. They've got pictures of its face, a whole body, pictures of its shoes, and then they've got this really weird looking plug that it uses to plug itself in, charging the wall. And then they just have a picture of what looks like a grenade. I don't know what that's supposed to be. $200 deposit due today. U.S. delivery starts in 2026. I don't know. Well, Hey, maybe if the podcast does a little better, I'll start. Maybe I'll consider getting one of these things. Doesn't seem so bad. All right. Well, let's move on. Lots of fun stuff today. Where is the? I have another AI adjacent story. Why not get it out? Yeah, here I'll get it out. While we're doing it, just rip the whole band-aid off. There's this website doublespeed.ai, and it says robots have your eyes. That's their little logo here, and they have like a 1984 kind of Big Brother is watching eye looking at you. And then you scroll down a little bit, and they have a hand holding like what do you call it? The thing that you use to manipulate the strings on a puppet. But instead of a puppet, there's like 5 or 6 phones attached to the strings. And you might think, well, is this some kind of art project? Is this they're making some kind of point here that you're being manipulated and things aren't real? What is this? What is doublespeed.ai? You know, it's kind of cool, got some cool imagery, it's a little scary. Control is all you need. The doublespeed terminal allows you to orchestrate actions on thousands of social accounts through both bulk content creation and deployment. That's the text here. And then they have a robot that's using its middle finger to, they have like a Terminator style metal robot arm using its middle finger to touch a phone here. That's another bit of their key art here. Instrumental human action. Our deployment layer mimics natural user interaction on physical devices to get our content to appear human to the algorithms. Not an art project. This is a business. Attention intelligence. Our system analyzes the works to make the content smarter over time. The best performing content becomes the training data for what comes next. Introducing the terminal. Hyper customization around accounts, personas, and all things synthetic content. So this company, they let you control, they let you like rent out bot farms, basically. And all the kind of like scary like robots are controlling you, all that. It's not some kind of warning. It's not some kind of something to get your attention, to get you to, you know, think about these things really hard. It's an advertisement. They want your money. They're like, you could be the puppet master. Hey, you know how you're being manipulated on the internet all the time? Well, how would you like to be the manipulator? That's their pitch here. Content fine-tuning. AI does the heavy lifting. Humans add the final 5% that makes platforms trust it's real. We've automated the arbitrage between perfect and believable. Yeah, here's another thing with this. It's just like the robot we were looking at, where they're like, oh, it's the miracle of AI. We have this perfect AI that no system can detect as AI, and it's called an Indian. More like I, more like Indian intelligence. Am I right, folks? Folks, it's so stupid. Where they're taking like, so the AI is writing all this horse shit. You know, they've got 10,000 phones on a farm logged into 10,000 X accounts and Instagram and whatever, and they all write and they have 10,000 prompts go out to AI, write a post reacting to our clients, you know, new advertising campaign or whatever, being like, oh, I love this so much. Like, that's the attitude. And then they have like 100 people in India look at the 10,000 posts and touch them up a little bit. And because of the low pay there, it all works economically. And they're saying this is their like AI revolution. The AI revolution is we take away all the jobs in your country and use AI to do them really, really, really badly, and then have people in India who make 1/20th of what you would make fix up the last 5% of what the AI did. Like, it's a total fraud, and it's connected to the robot thing too, because that robot, I don't know if it says AI anywhere in its marketing, but everybody looks at it and they think AI, 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 it's a robot. And it's actually just going out to India. This could get really, really dark when you think about like manufacturing and blue collar jobs, or even like a retail job, like a a Starbucks or something. Why couldn't a robot server uh, serve you at Starbucks? Why couldn't a robot take your meal out to you at a fast food place? And it's like, well, the robots aren't quite there yet. They almost are. Yeah, but they are there if the robot is just being operated by a guy in India, and you can't even get a job at the burger place now because they're going to just be filled with robots who work 24/7 and are staffed by these spirits from India and wherever else in the world, and they'll just run the robot. They'll just clock into their data center job and they'll flip burgers. I mean, this is not good, is it? There is an argument if they're actually robots. There's actually a good argument. We should not just keep jobs for jobs' sakes. I'm not going to pretend to have all the answers for this, but like what's coming where all the jobs go away, there does have to be some kind of solution where it's not just the people who invested in the robot technology take everything and win forever, and their descendants win forever, and they're the new rulers of the earth. I don't accept that. I'm not a good capitalist, I guess. Like, there something is going to have to give when that actually happens. But this is not even that. What they're doing now with what they're calling AI, a lot of the time, it's not even that. They're kind of trying to get you to think like that. So you got to think like, yeah, this is a really big, when it's actually they're just moving the jobs to India. They're just outsourcing. And it's just the good old fashioned outsourcing problem, which should have never been allowed in the first place. They're going to do, and this is like this is the macrocosm. Like, this is everyone can look at like that robot and everyone can see exactly what's going on, where they're pretending they have this fantastic sci-fi product. And what they really have is, to be fair, a pretty interesting product, but the heavy lifting is being done by cheap labor outsourced somewhere else. It's not being done by magic AI. And that's a thing like everyone can see. You don't have to like follow business news. You don't have to be looking at like quarterly reports or something to figure this out. Everyone can just see it. That's why it's good and interesting to look at. But I can guarantee you that there are all these companies that are saying like we expect this much savings through AI, and we expect to be able to cut this many jobs because of AI, and we're going to cut 10,000 jobs next quarter because AI is going to make us more efficient. And when you actually look at what they're doing, it's going to be like 30% AI and 70% outsourcing. And what they're actually doing is just more and more outsourcing. I mean, at least for now. Anyway, yeah, let's look at this thing a little bit more. So you can do bulk media uploading, bulk posts, deployment solves distribution, content creation at scale solves inventory. What? Content creation at scale solves inventory. What does that mean? What inventory are you solving? Generate a week's worth in minutes, on brand, performance optimized. Account management, full control over every account parameter. Change bios, profile pics, and even the content they interact with, all orchestrated on real devices. That means they've got 10,000 phones sitting somewhere in like a phone databank center. Databank's not the right word, but a phone, they've got some kind of, you've seen these like these nightmarish visions of all these phones plugged in these dark rooms. Yeah, so you can do so their example, they have some normal looking guy here. It says male 18 to 25, hashtag sportswear, hashtag active, hashtag clothing. So that's like a profile of a fake character that's one of the thousands in this bot farm that's going to be posting about, whatever. So if you're the social account manager for like, Nike Portugal or whatever, you can, when you post your shitty ad campaign, you can get all these fake likes and everything from these bots. Disgusting. Hyper specific personas. Every synthetic influencer, fuck off, needs consistent patterns. Define their background is for content that persists their character. Now, here's the thing. AI doesn't make grammar mistakes like this. So whoever wrote this wasn't using AI. It says define what their background is. Should be just there for content that persists their character. But I mean, okay, who cares about the grammar mistake? I have autism, but they need to. The big problem is just this whole thing. Like you're making persona. They're just openly advertising for you to make the world a worse place. Fake Instagrams, fake everything. One video, 100 ways. And then it says at the end, never pay a human again. It's never been easier to create and deploy content without human cost. Stay up to date with changes and strategies in our community. They're kind of saying Indian people aren't human, aren't they? Aren't they kind of saying that a little bit? Because they said earlier when we scrolled up, it said that it's like 95% done by AI and the last 5% is just touched up by humans. And so it's touched up by people in India. They're not paying Americans to touch it up. So when you subscribe to this service, you are going to be paying people in India, right? And then this says, down here at the end, it says, never pay a human again. They're kind of being bastards, aren't they? That's kind of worse than anything I've ever said on this podcast. But it's all just okay. Bulk content creation, physical US device deployment. So they go out and buy like 1,000 phones, keep them somewhere in a garage in the US. God, it sucks. Everything sucks. Doesn't the world seem like a horrible nightmare? Hey, last week I didn't play the ad. Should I play the ad again? Is the ad annoying? I need to record a new ad. Whatever, I'm not going to play the ad. Just subscribe at burnpile.vip, everybody. Burnpile.vip. Okay, let's see. What's a good news story? All right, let's go to CBS News. How was everyone's Halloween? Did anybody dress up and go out? Did anybody go to any fun costume parties? This from CBS News. Powder suspect of being cocaine should be suspected. God, CBS News can't write a headline? I'll try again. Powder suspected of being cocaine found in trick-or-treater's bag in Allegheny County, police say. Police are investigating after a bag suspected of containing cocaine was found in a trick-or-treater's bag on Saturday night. According to a Facebook post from Ingram Borough Police on Saturday night, they were alerted to an unknown substance in a child's trick-or-treat bag. When given the evidence, the powder was in a small, knotted bag, and preliminary tests came back positive for cocaine. A grandmother had found a small baggie of cocaine, or we suspected cocaine at the time, in the 8-year-old's bag. We obtained it, we tested it, it came back positive on the test for cocaine derivative, said Ingram Police Chief Jack Doherty. Not that Jack Doherty, who I went on a rant about on a recent paid episode. The police chief said it was the biggest night for trick-or-treating he had seen in his 25 years. Quote, I don't feel that this is nefarious. People that can afford that kind of drug aren't passing that kind of a drug out, said Ingram resident Shelley Johnson. My hope is that it was an accidental occurrence, that someone wouldn't drop cocaine in a bag of candy for children. I hope that's a mistake, said resident Simone Freeman Irwin. Police are continuing to investigate, but they think it was probably a mistake. God, that's quite a blunder. I would say that's quite a little blunder, wouldn't you? How does that... I mean, how do you get to where you're in a place where you can make a mistake like that, right? Because, okay, if you're the kind of person you've got drugs in your house, I would say, maybe I'm a bit of a prude. Maybe this is too much. Some people might disagree with me. I would say, if I've got drugs in my house, then I don't want to see any trick-or-treaters. You know, even if I've got them, locked in a safe upstairs or whatever, I just feel better. And again, I was raised in a very conservative Christian way, and maybe I'm a little bit sensitive about this stuff, but I would say just there's a sign on the door, or maybe I would maybe leave a bowl out on the porch and it just says take one, right? Something like that. And then you can go down the scale. Like if you're a little less uptight than me, then yeah, you've got it in a separate, you've got it locked away tight in your bedroom. The trick-or-treaters, they can come to the door. You've got your... How do you get so careless? Like, there are many, many steps down the scale to where you get where you're you've got the cocaine next to the pixie sticks, right? I mean, you've got to go a pretty long way to get there, don't you? How does this happen? And do you think that he realized as soon as he closed the door? He closes the door and he's like, "Whew, that's the last of the trick-or-treaters tonight." Oh no, the cocaine! And then cue the laugh track or something. It does seem like a zany plot of a really stupid TV show or something. And yeah, I get it. If the kid eats the cocaine thinking it's candy, he could die. But this is just, it's wacky. It's just really weird. And how are the police still investigating? Can't you just ask the kid, which houses did you go to? And he points to, realistically, in this day and age, he points to the 10 or fewer houses that he's been to. And then you just, knock on the door of each one and ask all 10 people. I mean, yeah, they're all going to say no, but I feel like you're going to be able to tell. I feel like if you told me I had to do this investigation, I don't know if I'd have enough evidence to arrest anybody, but I think I could tell you who did it. Give me an hour. Give me 1 hour. And you're like, yeah, this is the street he went to. And I'm like, okay. I just start knocking on doors. I come back in an hour. I was like, Jim did it. This is not an investigation. This is very solvable. Very, very solvable. But anyway, why were they doing trick-or-treating on Saturday last week? Because this was published on the 27th. So why did they do trick-or-treating last Saturday? Especially because Halloween was on a Friday. So the kids can just... It's not a school night. The kids can just trick-or-treat. Not like they're super out super late anyway, but the kids can just trick-or-treat... there's no school the next day. They can just trick or treat. What the hell? Well, that's what you get. Trying to be safe, trying to do it the Saturday before, being gay, and that's what you get. You get cocaine in your bag. At least it wasn't razor blades. They used to actually have police come into the school every year and tell us to check the candy for razor blades. Like the police officer would actually come into my kindergarten. I remember this, like kindergarten through like I don't know, 3rd grade. He would actually come in and tell us you need to have mom and dad check all of your candy before you eat it. And then we were in a pretty rural area, so my mom would just drive me and my brother to houses of people we knew, like family, friends, and extended family members. And we'd go to like, I don't know, 6 or 8 houses or something, and we'd get a little bit of candy. And then we'd come home with the candy, and I'd be like, Mom, can you check to see if that guy you knew for 30 years, if he put razor blades in my candy? And she would just look at me and she's like, no, it's okay. You'll be all right. Anybody ever get like I know there's a on YouTube now, if you try to look this up, you'll get the story of like some guy in the 70s who like he put some kind of poison in like pixie sticks or something. But did anything else ever actually happen? It's got to be no, right? Who would ever do something bad on Halloween? Okay. Well, Daily Mail Plus, if you listen to the bonus episode, I think it was the last bonus episode, I was talking about the Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes episode, which I thought was mostly pretty entertaining. You know how I feel about Tucker Carlson. I think he's he's a kind of effeminate, effete, DC kind of faggot who tried to get into the CIA and couldn't, and is from like a connected family. It wasn't his. Am I getting it wrong? Or his father was in the CIA or something? Um, and and he kind of got he didn't make it into the CIA, and then he sort of went on his own way, found himself you know on the outside, got fired by Fox News. The only real big problem I have with him, other than his really gay laugh, oh, which he always does, the only problem I have with him is his rebrand, where he could do anything he wanted. He's doing like a LARP as like a good time old country boy thing. He's got like a banjo playing. He's got a banjo playing for his theme song. It's a banjo. And he's just, that's not who he is. That's not him. He's like, even if he is heterosexual, he's like a spiritually gay kind of insider type city slicker guy. And you can be that and still be a great ally to conservatism. And I like a lot of what he says. And it's very, very funny. Hey, if you think that you're above Tucker Carlson and you think you're too cool for Tucker Carlson, have you ever done anything in your life like publishing an interview with a guy who claims to have had gay sex with Barack Obama? That's very, very funny, and no matter what happens, I'll always love Tucker to some extent because of that. I mean, that's really funny. So I like Tucker just fine. Regardless of all those things I said, despise the fake country cabin banjo LARP in the presentation of his show, but that's just against the presentation. That's not the content. And Nick Fuentes, I only really knew through memes and very short clips. He's fine. He's quite funny and everything. And it was a good interview. It was a pretty good interview. Then I saw this. I saw this from the Daily Mail Plus. That's why I've got the archive link up here. And I read like the first few paragraphs, and it really made me laugh because there's this faction of conservatism that is stuck in this world where they can just call everything anti-Semitic and they win. And it's so far past them, like they don't even realize it, and they have no idea how ridiculous that they sound and how much they're alienating people and weakening their own position. So I'm just going to read this. It's from Josh Hammer. On Monday evening, the most dangerous man in America, which is, I guess, Tucker Carlson, sat to interview a confused millennial. The pair, who for months had been regaling the masses with a bit of low-rent turf war kayfabe, implying the other was an undercover Fed (parentheses federal agent). We need to explain what a Fed is. Decided to drop the faux hatchet once and for all. So they're saying that whatever the beef they had was not real, because I guess Fuentes and Tucker had both said the other one was a Fed. Okay. They did so not necessarily because they care for one another. Now listen to this. Listen to this. This is why I had to do this story. They did so not necessarily because they care for one another, but because of their shared passion for tackling a mutual foe, Western civilization, which for millennia has claimed the Hebrew Bible (parentheses Old Testament) as its preeminent moral and legal wellspring. Excuse me, what? There's no way, there is absolutely no way you could listen to the Tucker and Nick Fuentes podcast. What was it, 2 hours? Maybe a little over 2. There was no way you could listen to that and say that it's an assault on Western civilization. First of all, you don't have to like Tucker. You could even be like a left-wing person. There's no way you could say that Tucker hates Western civilization. You say he's wrong about what's good for Western civilization. He's wrong about what aspects of Western, whatever. But to call this an attack on Western civilization just because it's people who have serious, Tucker and Nick Fuentes both have serious concerns about, like, AIPAC, basically. That's an attack on Western civilization. And this thing here, the moral wellspring of Western civilization is the Old Testament? How is it the Old Testament? Isn't it the New Testament? Aren't the teachings of Jesus important? The Old Testament became important to European civilization because of its attachment to the New Testament. This is ridiculous. I mean, Summa Theologica, right? It's Thomas Aquinas, reconciling like Greek philosophy with Christianity. Like, that's the moral framework. That's the basis of Western civilization. I'm not saying there's no Old Testament in there. I mean, yeah, you can point to the 10 Commandments and everything. Sure. Yeah, I'm not saying it has no influence, but that's it's the preeminent moral and legal wellspring of Western civilization. All right. I'll keep reading just a little bit here. I actually don't even know what other nuggets are in here. Just to be clear, I'm not talking about George Soros and Hassan Piker. This was a chat between the erstwhile king of cable news, Tucker Carlson, and Nick Fuentes, the loquacious Holocaust denier who has been a leading anti-Semitic provocateur since he first burst onto the political commentary scene a decade ago. Fuentes, perhaps most infamous for a 2019 rant wherein he analogized Jews being massacred by the Nazis to the Sesame Street character Cookie Monster baking cookies in an oven in an attempt to explain why 6 million dead Jews at the hand of the Nazis, quote, just doesn't make sense. Stayed true to his form during the Carlson interview. At various points, Fuentes mused about the evils of, quote, organized Jewry, and contended that discredited neoconservatism cannot be divorced from, quote, Jewishness. Parentheses. That's news to this Jew. The host's response, in turn, was so fawning that it amounted to a laundering of Fuentes' repugnant beliefs. Fuentes, who has personally called me, quote, filth. I didn't know that. That's fun. Who's the author here? Josh Hammer. Okay. Fuentes, who has personally called me filth and said that Jews like me and broadcaster Mark Levin are not American and do not belong here, predictably claimed yet again on Carlson's show that American Jews put the interests of Israel over the interests of their own country. Wasn't there that mega donor to Trump who has dual Israeli citizenship, and he said in a speech, he was like, I asked her, which do you love more, America or Israel? And she said, I can't choose. Like, is it so beyond the pale to worry about that? And look, I get it. If you've got like a Jewish neighbor down the street, I don't think you need to go harass them, or that you need to worry that they're like more loyal to Israel than to. I'm not saying to be like hateful and nasty, but to act like that's not a factor, especially with what's gone on with Israel, post October 7th, and what's going on with America's relationship with them, to act like there's no reason to be concerned about it is crazy. It's crazy. But anyway, this was Daily Mail Plus. I just thought that was amusing. I'm so outside the world of people who would read these kind of mainstream publications. I mean, Daily Mail has like funny stuff in it. I feel like I've read like Daily Mail where it's like somebody like fucked a goat and then like killed the owner or something. Those are the Daily Mail stories I read. I don't like read an opinion in the Daily Mail. I can't even imagine reading an opinion in the Daily Mail. Oh, I don't have a specific article for this next thing I wanted to talk about, but the Elon Musk, who was just on Rogan, by the way, it was an okay episode. I don't really recommend it. If you've heard other episodes, then you can skip it. But Elon had been hyping like a new X algorithm. And he was like, this algorithm is going to be like totally done by Grok. So it's going to be an AI algorithm. It's going to be way better for you. It's going to be great. And they turned that on. And I kid you not, my algorithm turned into like, it went from, right-wing insanity, what you might expect from listening to this podcast, to literally Chinese propaganda. It was so weird and so evident and so apparent. Like, I actually, it was shocking. It's like really, really surprising, because I don't really care about China that much. I don't really engage in posts about China, positive or negative. I don't have a hugely negative opinion on China. I don't have a positive opinion on China either. But like my algorithm just got like taken over, like pretty shockingly. And it was so weird. Like, I wonder what's going on there. And I hope it gets updated again. I'll have people like making I'll have my For You recommendation feed. It'll be like a quote teat. I wish it was a quote teat. That would be cool. By the way, I also don't get porn. Everybody complains about getting porn on X. I get zero porn on X. I get really objectionable sexual content on like Facebook, and I don't get it on X. So maybe it's just the region I'm in, or I don't get it. Um, but I'll get like a quote tweet from some angry person defending China, and it's about how, and they'll be like quoting someone who said something about China, and I don't get recommended the original of that, which is about saying something bad about China. I get recommended the quote tweet about how that's wrong and China is great. And when I read both of them together, I'm closer in opinion to the person who is negative about China. So I don't understand why I'm getting pro Chinese propaganda shoved down my throat by X right now. Very, very weird. I just wanted to bring that up. I wonder if anyone else is getting anything like that. I haven't really heard anybody say anything about that. Let's see. Any other good stories? Oh, yeah, let's go to good old Harvard. We've got a story here from the Harvard Crimson. Soul crushing. Students slam Harvard's grade inflation report. So the Crimson, this is a Harvard student-run newspaper. Harvard students pushed back forcefully against a new university report condemning grade inflation, arguing that it misrepresented their academic experience and would add pressure to an already demanding campus environment. The 25-page report, released Monday by the Office of Undergraduate Education, suggested that Harvard's grading system had become so lenient that it no longer meaningfully distinguished between students. It warned that current practices were, quote, failing to perform the key functions of grading and were, quote, damaging the academic culture of the college. All right, so, Harvard, it's like, it's the biggest like class signifier you could have in America, I think, would be having gone to Harvard, right? And to a lesser extent, the other Ivies, especially Yale, much lesser extent Columbia, and then you go down the list, they become less and less relevant. But Harvard is the big one, and I think what's going on here. So grade inflation. You've probably heard that term, but if not, it's just like, whereas it used to be only the top 5 or 10% got A's, now 50% of the class gets an A, right? And 40% get a B, and the last 10% they flunk out or something, they quit. And that's a huge problem all across American schools, at every level, and now it's even gotten into Harvard. And what I love about this student newspaper take on this is like, so this report comes out, and this Harvard's report is like, the grade inflation here has gotten out of control. We can no longer distinguish between students because, 20 years ago, if you had an A student in a difficult Harvard class, it's like, hey, the top college, top student in a difficult class. Now that person is just going to blend in with everybody else, right? So Harvard's like, this is out of control. We can't distinguish between students. What's the point of even having grades if we're going to do this? And the Harvard thing, it's such a class thing, right? It's such a like, it's just about being like a striver who gave up your childhood, or being from a rich family, or some combination of those two things, right? It's like you have an immigrant family from somewhere in East Asia, somewhere in India. They have put pressure on you from the time you were 6 years old. You were always going to be top of the class. You are always, here are the extracurriculars that Harvard looks at. You need to do all of these things, and you need to be thinking about that when you're 12, when you're 13, when you're 14. Oh, you like basketball? You want to play basketball? You're really not that great at basketball. Even though you like to play it, you can't. You need to be studying for the spelling bee. You're giving up your childhood, you're giving up your teenage years because you're a striver. You're trying to get into an Ivy League school. You get into Harvard. Or Alternatively, you're just from a rich family, an influential family, a politically connected family, whatever. And so you just get in, right? But what I love here is like the indignation from the students where they're like, I already gave up my childhood. This is supposed to be the fun time. Or they're like, I'm the daughter of some Hollywood royalty. What do you mean I can't get an A? Like, the attitude is amazing. So I'm just going to keep reading here. Sophie Chumburidze, from class of 29, said the report felt dismissive of students' hard work and academic struggles. Quote, the whole entire day I was crying, she said. I skipped classes on Monday, and I was just sobbing in bed because I felt like I try so hard in my classes, and my grades aren't even the best. It just felt soul-crushing. Again, this is in response to a report saying the grades are inflated. And she's just like, well, I did my best. What do they mean I'm not a genius? I want credit for being a genius. I'm going to cry all Monday if I'm not told I'm a genius. The report called on Harvard affiliates to work with officials to, quote, recenter academics and devote time towards tougher and more strictly graded courses. But many students said the push felt misguided, worrying that tougher grading, without attendant changes in academic quality, would shift their focus from learning to chasing grades. Keita A. Aronson, class of 29, said stricter standards could take a serious toll on students' mental health. Quote, it makes me rethink my decision to come to the school, she said. No, it doesn't. It does not make you rethink your decision to come to the school. She said, quote, I killed myself all throughout high school to try and get into this school. I was looking forward to being fulfilled by my studies now, rather than being killed by them. Hey, the hard work part was my parents making me stay up till 3 a.m. To make sure that I got a perfect score on the SAT, stay up studying, and that I was in the class at 7 a.m. to lead the student council club or whatever every night. I already did. This is my reward. This is not an institution of learning. This was my reward for listening to my parents and doing what I was told. I'm supposed to be enjoying myself. This isn't about being a hardworking genius. This is about, did you pay your dues and make the sacrifice, or didn't you? Zara Rohaninejad added that grading already felt harsh, and raising standards further would only erode students' ability to, again, look at this word, enjoy their classes. Quote, I can't reach my maximum level of enjoyment just learning the material because I'm so anxious about the midterm, so anxious about the papers, and because I know it's so harshly graded, she said. If that standard is raised even more, it's unrealistic to assume that people will enjoy their classes. Hey, buddy, listen. You're not being realistic. Do you realistically think that people will be able to enjoy their classes if you have grades like this? I mean, what are they talking about? And, for those of us like me who were raised in like very, very, very non-striver households, why don't you just go to community college, son? It's cheaper. Like, retarded household. Actually, it's insane how retarded mine was. I love my parents. They were just naive and dumb about some things. If you were raised in these households, you thought like, oh yeah, I can get straight A's if I really apply myself, but I'm doing other things. I have other interests. I hang out with my friends, so I'm okay with B's. And but even if I got like perfect grades, I don't think I could get into Harvard because that's the best. That's the best of the best in the country. And when you get there, it's really, really, really hard. That's how all of us were raised. That's how that's what I thought. I grew up thinking that. that's a normal thing to think. What you don't realize is that the people who got into Harvard, it's not like they're dumb, but they're not geniuses. They're either from rich families or they're from families that knew how to play the game and forced their kids to play the game very, very early. And when they get into Harvard, they're entitled to that in their minds. Like, it's not someplace where they're going to work hard and they're going to become like these future leaders of the country or something. Fuck that. They're like, hey, if you grade the midterm harshly, it's going to really affect my enjoyment. You're not, hey, listen, this midterm that you're saying, teacher, professor, this midterm that you're saying we have to do next month, you're not being realistic about how it's going to affect enjoyment of these. Everything about these upper classes I completely despise. I know that no matter what, you're going to have an upper class, but this one that we have, and I would probably hate other ones too for different reasons. This one that we have, I could not possibly hate anymore. I despise these people. I can't even tell you how much I hate the students who are quoted in this article, the Harvard Crimson. I hope Harvard puts extremely high standards there and makes it so only geniuses can get A's. That sounds pretty good to me. It's Harvard, and it's hard to get in. And it's really hard to graduate. How about do that? Anybody think about that? All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Sign up at burnpile.vip. Burnpile.vip. And listen to the bonus episodes. All right. See you next time. Bye.